I've got some records to go through. We're trying to pull out some of the better ones. I've got 400,000 or 500,000 records in inventory that we need to go through and figure out what to do with. Some we're sending over to the local antique auction. I'm going to have them auction off some of the common stuff. As I said, we're pulling through, so it's a perfect time to do some call outs to specific records and record labels to look for right this second that are hot as can be. So we're in here, we're sorting. I've got some records to go through. We're trying to pull out some of the better ones. Some we're sending over to the local antique auction. I'm going to have them auction off some of the common stuff. As I said, we're pulling through, so it's a perfect time to do some call outs to specific records and record labels to look for right this second that are hot as can be. So we're just going to flip through a stack. Now, you may not know who the Spencer Davis Group is, but what I want to show you is the actual label itself. Let's get it out here. So we're going to slide this one out. This is a Vertigo, and hopefully you know the label. I don't want to mess up the label itself. This looks like a Near Mint Plus record. I mean, it's really nice looking record, as you can see. Nice gloss. I love finding this label. The original ones would be UK. There are some US versions. Now, a huge area that I personally love are soundtracks of various different types. This is based on the original version of The Hobbit, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. This is The Hobbit Rankin Bass animated from, I believe, the early 70s or so. Let's see what the 1950, 60, 77, 78 is when this one came out. What's interesting about these two is it has the actual booklet in it. So the story is in here too. That adds to the value. Always make sure that it has all the pages in the book as well. The record on this one's like mint. There were some action figures issued, some toys from this one as well. This is gained in value. Again, it has the 12 pages in there. It's a Disneyland record as well. I do extremely well with Disneyland records. The Hobbit is a key one. I probably have a few copies of this. I list one. Until that one sells, I won't list another one. These just sit in inventory. Now this is Peter and the Wolf, another one. Sterling Holloway, you should recognize the voice. I believe he's Winnie the Pooh's voice also, and it has The Sorcerer's Apprentice with the original classical music to it. Again, it's going to have the booklet, as you can see. I don't buy these if the book is damaged. If the booklet is damaged, I don't buy these. I don't mess with them at all. All the pages are here. It tells you how many pages it should have. Obviously, this one's in very nice condition. We've sold some of the Disneyland records, like this one here, if I can get it opened, for really good money. I've sold some records for like $125 to $150 Disney-wise. Again, I buy pretty much any soundtrack, a decent soundtrack. Sidney Poitier, The Lost Man. What's good about this one is Quincy Jones does the music. This is a scarce one. It's by Uni. It's not a major brand name, but it is a label that you will see tons of other things on as well, too. So great label. There's a lot of Northern Soul on this label. Excellent, 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 excellent. I don't, again, buy these unless the condition of the record is in excellent condition. So if the record is scratched up, the cover is messed up, I just pass them by. And I don't spend more than, say, 50 cents or less if I'm buying them singly usually these days. I used to buy them for $1, but, you know, it's got to be something decent for me to invest $1 into it. James Bond does very well. People frame these, Live and Let Die. You should know that Paul and Linda McCartney do the song. This one does extremely well. Most of the James Bond do, and it has some very nice artwork, as you can see. People collect these, and it's the 7-Up guy, if you didn't know. He did the 7-Up commercials, but that's a good one there, too. Thunderball, Dr. No, all of them. I've probably had every James Bond LP that you can get. I probably still have a copy of each one. Thunderball, they made toys, all sorts of advertisements. Tom Jones, you should know that. It's not unusual, but that's Tom Jones. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, they did a big thing on this, and the Carlton Dance and the whole works. Anyway, this is a nice cover artwork. I love the artwork. People frame these, and that's why they're collectible. Now, this one gets people by who actually wrote the actual book. Ian Fleming wrote Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, and I think it probably says somewhere in here, I would gather. Now, this one Yeah, the pages are all here. They're just a little loose. Sometimes I'll spend the time to put them back together, but not every single time. Record itself was in good condition. This one does extremely well, too, for what it is. Dick Van Dyke's in here and the whole work. So this one is a nice one. I remember the movie as a child. Now, obviously, Star Wars is another one of those that I do grab up. Star Wars does extremely well, 30, 40 bucks for an original. It has to have any inserts. There's 2 different versions of this one. This one has the original inserts. There's actually, I think, a poster or something in this one as well, too. If it's supposed to have an insert and it doesn't have the insert, I don't buy it either because it's not worth as much money. This is one of the original ones, too. Very nice artwork. People just put these on the wall. They don't even have to have a record player. Big fan of Clockwork Orange, Stanley Kubrick. This one does extremely well, for us anyway. This is an original, if I remember right. It doesn't have a barcode, so that is the original version. It does look to be the right one. Excellent condition again. I don't buy them if they're not. Now, this is Clockwork Orange by Walter Carlos. It's like a takeoff, same music, same everything else. It's Moog is the type, electronic music, award-winning film in Clockwork Orange. So this is the complete score done by him, done by this other person. So it's totally different. It's like electronic sound, very unique, very interesting. I've listened to this record, obviously. It is one of my, hey, you need to play kind of things if you like Clockwork Orange. So I have listened to that one, too. Now, I don't know how many people remember Charo. This is more like a pinup style cover. Coochie Coochie is something she used to say. She used to be on a show called Love Boat way back in the day, Captain Steubing and the whole works. Believe it or not, these do okay. It's a soul record label. Sal's Soul Orchestra is extremely well known also, so it's another one of those that I do grab up. Not worth a fortune, but her records do seem to sell fairly well. We do get decent money. Most of these records will get you some good money. Now, what's hot right now are 80s hair band, hair metal stuff. Shout at the Devil. This is not the very first pressing, but this is the first pressing on the actual major label. This one does, again, extremely well. This is the gatefold. This is Columbia House. I think this is, the mail-away version. It's an Elektra published by, Columbia House. So this might be Columbia Records. I'll have to look up this exact version because there are 4 or 5 versions of this one. Any one of these in excellent condition. If it's gatefold, this is gatefold. It opens up. This easily will get me about 35 or 40 bucks no matter what. All of them do. Theater of Pain, same thing. This is about the time when barcodes were just starting, so some of the ones without barcodes will be first pressings. If they have a barcode, sometimes they'll be later pressings, but this I do believe is an original. I believe barcodes started hitting the shelves in about 85 or so, which is when this one is. Rock-a-Rolla, you can't beat this one. This is Judas Priest. I've been a big Judas Priest fan for a very long time. Rock-a-Rolla is one of the songs on here. Doesn't have a ton of other well-known ones, but if you're a Judas Priest fan, you'll know it. This is Screaming for Vengeance, obviously another good one here. The Hellion, Electric Eye, great songs as well. Pain and Pleasure, Screaming for Vengeance. One of my favorite songs by them, You Got Another Thing Coming. I mean, that's just an awesome rocker song. I've listened to it since I was a child. Again, most of these here, these 80s hair bands will get you about 30 bucks. I went to see Heart back in the day. This is an excellent album. This is when they were coming out with the newer style. What About Love was one of the better ones on here. These Dreams, Never is a good one as well, too. Nothing at All. I mean, this is a good album all the way around. They toured here in my local area, so I do have most of theirs on my own personal MP3 collection. Who Will You Run To is probably one of my favorites of the new Heart. Magic Man, I wasn't a big fan of the earlier stuff, but I sure as heck loved these as well. Nancy Wilson sings the song, title song from The Golden Child, The Best Man in the World, and that's one of my favorite songs of all times by either one of the Wilson sisters or even Hart. The Best Man in the World, that's a great song from the movie. It's an Eddie Murphy movie as well. Journey, you can't go wrong with original Journey. This is a great album also. If you're a Journey fan, you probably know which album I'm holding here anyway. That's a double album set, excellent condition. Great seller as well. George Thorogood. Now, you can't go wrong with George Thorogood as well either. I usually get the 25 to 35 bucks depending on the actual label itself on the record. Some of their first records on groups like, Thorogood, they may have been on a smaller label and then they got picked up. Now, Led Zeppelin I'm a big fan of Zeppelin as well. This one is I think this is a later one. I could be wrong, but let's look and see if I can slide it out. No, it's on Swan Song. It should be the original pressing. Now, some of these, when you pulled out the record itself, you could get it wet and it would be watercolor on there. I'm not sure if this is one of them or not. It may or may not be. So there's two different versions in here. In Through the Outdoor is one of the more popular songs on here. This is like a later one. It's not as good as some of their other ones, but I like most Led Zeppelins anyway. So Communication Breakdown is probably one of my favorites. Now, Led Zeppelin 4, this is an original one, but not a first pressing. The first pressing is very easily distinguished by the markings on the actual record. And this has the original insert, so it is an original one, no barcode or anything else like that. Now, this will say Pecos Duck on it if it's the very, very first pressing. This one doesn't, though. Have hand scratched in some words and some textual statements around in the dead wax just past the label. That's the best ones. I've sold those for $50. This one will get me about $25 or so in the condition that it is in. It's, again, original gate fold. So it's not from the original release, but it's from the same time frame. Now, I do buy Elvis, but most Elvis honestly aren't worth a lot of money. There's several versions of Moody Blue, and this is the blue vinyl version. I actually have two of them here. I probably have another 3 or 4. Not super, super rare. These might get you 20 to 40 bucks depending on the condition and the whole works. Now, these look about unplayed. The discs are very nice. And these are what's called cutouts. See that little chip right there? That means it was discounted. And that way they could put this little saw cut in here as a discounted record. You couldn't return it for full price. Now, what's interesting about this, I have 2 of them. This one doesn't have the cutout anywhere, as you can see. Same record. There's a cutout. There is no cutout in this one. They're both blue vinyl discs. Let's see if we can get the other one out. Well, probably not, but it's a blue vinyl disc. I know I looked at it already. You can see it right there. So I've got one cutout and one not cut out. Now, the cutout one's always going to be worth less in my book because it has a cut in it. Elvis in general, I do buy up. Elvis does extremely well. It has all the inserts in this one too. This is a second pressing. There are some, it's a quadra disc though, which does add to the value somewhat. If I can get this one, I probably won't be able to get this one out easily. Here's one. See if we can't slide that out. Now, quadra is the quality, how it's recorded, and the whole works. Some of the quadra discs for like more like psychedelic records can go for a heck of a lot more than the standard ones. It is a standard type of disc that I look for. There's some of these from a specific hotel. There's some of these that were promotional. All of those promotional ones or hotel ones can go for hundreds, if not thousands of dollars for this specific record. Now let me just show you one other one before I let you go here. I've got tons of work to do. I want to finish these records and get a couple totes gone through. We're going to start listing records full steam. We're going to do it on some other spots too. If you don't know what Discogs is and stuff like that, it's free to list records. So if you got some decent records and they're scarcer records, you can make out very quickly, very easily. You can also set a bare minimum. So if you're selling cheaper records, they'll have to be able to buy so many of them just to get them to ship to you. So you might have a $20 minimum purchase price. So if you're selling $5 records, you've got a $20 sale for them to get them. They'd buy 4. But this is another one of those great labels I always grab up. This is a V-disc is what they are. And what these are were like for the armed services to some extent. This says Navy Department Bureau of Naval Personnel. So these would have been played possibly on ships and at events and things like that too. These are 78s. They're fairly fragile. Most of these will be jazz. There'll be stuff like that on them. Different songs, different performers on different sides of them as well, too. So Artie Shaw, very well known. Big band, a lot of these you will run into. There'll be some early boppers and things like that. Andrews Sisters are fairly common to be turned up on these, too. But these are ones I look for. Some of these we've sold for $300 and $400 a piece. These are in excellent condition. Most of the time they haven't been played. The military aspect is great on these. I pick these up sometimes at military shows for almost nothing because no one else messes with records at a military show. So that's one of my sources to buy these sorts of things. Jimmy Lunsford, very well known as well. Of course, most of you may not have a clue on who some of these performers are, but they are very well known. Some of these discs are extremely thick. Teddy Wilson jazz borderline there. Some of these you can see there's still some price stickers on them too. I have no idea where we got these. Lily Marlene, again, Woody Herman band. I'm not sure on the singer, but these are very good. There are no wings on a foxhole. So they're all World War II. Some Peaceful Evening, Okay for Baby, Les Brown and his Band of Renown, if you know who that is. Again, V-discs are something I always look for. Paul Weston, very popular. Johnny Mercer, very popular singer. Al Jolson, Ma Blush and Rosie. Al Jolson was kind of going out at this point, wasn't politically correct at all. Patsy Kelly and Barry Wood, I'm going to hang my hat on a tree that grows in Brooklyn. Interesting one. Tijuana. Interesting again, Raymond Scott. So these are great to look for. If you get the right ones, you can make out like a bandit. Well, there we have it. Hopefully that gave you some ideas, some thoughts. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button down below. You can also hit the bell icon to be notified if I post new content or go live. Subscribe and tell all your friends. Jackie. Hey, Wilhelmina. What you doing? What you doing, Wilhelmina? What you doing, Wilhelmina? What you doing? Uh-oh, there comes Jackster. How you doing, Jackster?